Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros.
Sam Amick, I think that's how you say his name, senior writer at The Athletic, dropped this for us. I don't know when this podcast was, maybe yesterday sometime, but David Early, who writes for Liberty Ballers, posted a clip where Amick says that Daryl Morey and James Harden are not attached at the hip anymore. James is very unhappy because of the radio silence he's gotten from the Sixers in free agency. I thought I said front office. Says Harden's camp read the room. His camp read the room. I don't know if anyone in his camp can read and understand there was no quid pro quo coming from last summer's pay cut, so he opted in. So let's just listen to this real quick.
Two guys who were attached at the hip, so to speak, for so many years. And it goes deeper than Daryl, right? Like Tad Brown, their CEO in Houston, went to Philly as well, is there now. But now, Vinny, like, and you know this, like James is, like, they are not attached at the hip anymore. James is very unhappy. Yeah, he's very displeased with the way this whole thing was handled. I think he for sure thought that last summer when he gave $15 million back to help them get PJ Tucker and Daniel House, that was going to come back his way this summer. And as they got closer to free agency, he was getting radio silence. And we all know, again, league rules, you can't talk money before the gun goes off. A, by and large, that rule does not get followed. And then B, even if you want to follow it, there are definitely nuanced ways, to send a message to that player that this is what you can expect on the other side. And he was getting nothing. That's my understanding. Nothing. Yeah. And essentially, he and his agents read the room and could tell that, okay, we're getting set up here for most likely like a 1+1 team friendly contract. Like, sure, we want James back at 50% of market value or 50% of what he expected, and so he obviously tried to take control of the situation and opted in.
All right, so we're in a situation once again where we're dealing with a complete delusional sociopath who has no idea that his actions or his play level in the biggest moments of the playoffs have an impact on what happens. These people can't seem to grasp that they are the problem, or James Harden can't seem to grasp that he is trending downward. It's funny to me that James Harden and his camp basically signed this deal last year, took less money so Daryl could overpay PJ Tucker, good Lord, and Daniel House Jr. But he thought because he did that, and this is probably what Daryl told him or whatever, because he did that, he was guaranteed a 4-year, $200+ million contract this season. But what he doesn't seem to understand is that your level of play has to do with this. Like, bro, if you come out here and you got a sore Achilles and you look great one day, you look like you're 57 years old the next day, you drop a 42-point game in the playoffs, but then you're epically the worst player on the floor for 4 of those 7 games. We can't give you 4 years, $200 million, bro, because you're not good enough anymore. Like, yeah, we promised you, hey, if you take a cut here and help us out, it'll pay off in the long run, but we didn't know you were going to suck this bad. Like, I can't understand how James Harden just doesn't understand how what happened during the NBA season and his level of play trending downward is the reason the Sixers aren't giving him this contract, and he's mad about it. This cracks me up. This absolutely cracks me up. This cracks me up, dude. What the
kind of like kudos to Daryl Morey a little bit, though. I mean, like, Harden's clearly pissed at this,
Yeah.
And for Harden to be like pretty sure that he's going to get like paid extra or get what he wants the next year after taking a pay cut, and then being this surprised at Daryl Morey, for Morey to be like, you know what, dude, nah, like it would make no sense for you to do it. Like, he kind of just broke this verbal agreement they had last year, and for Morey to break that with a guy like Harden and like their relationship after all these years, like, that's pretty crazy. You know what I mean? Like, my only fear now is, though, as everyone else in the chat and yours fear is probably like we're not trading Harden because we can't find like a good enough deal for him that we have been like holding out for. So he's going to come into Philadelphia next year and
In a
he's just going to be
fat
fat. Yeah, he's going to be fat and he's going to be overweight and he's not going to care. Like
suit.
this is the same thing as Houston, dude. Like he's once I see James Harden is very unhappy, I just read James Harden is on his way to getting fat. That's all it is, dude. He's not going to care. He's not going to care.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Well, I already questioned his level of care just watching him the past 2 seasons. And again, on 12 days of rest, he would look like closer to the prime James Harden. But then, even though he had a great game after he went to Vegas, still, you went to freaking Las Vegas in the middle of the playoffs.
Yeah.
His level of dedication has been in question for a long time. And yeah, when it becomes abundantly clear that he doesn't care and he's like, all right, fuck you guys, then yeah, he'll try to. I mean, but when does it run out? He's on his 3rd team in 3 years.
I don't know, dude. And like that's why I say we have to just trade him now. You got to trade him now because the moment he comes back into the season, it's just going to be he's going to be devaluing himself, and we just got to get rid of the dude. Like I don't care anymore. We got to get rid of him.
But that's the problem with it's Daryl Morey, dude. We said the same thing about Ben Simmons. You got to get rid of him, and he sat on him for way too long, in my opinion. And it's absolutely
I think it worked in that though. Like I don't think Ben Simmons would have come in and played like superstar level basketball.
No.
That like you knew what you were getting with him. Like but with Harden though, you got to get him out before he plays worse than he did. You know what I mean?
He waited and traded for James Harden much past his prime, declining, and now he has the same thing happening that was happening with Ben Simmons. So really,
of course, dude. Yeah, of course.
Even better.
But I get it. Like hindsight 2020, we all look back and we're like, oh, you should have taken the other deals. But like we don't really know what the other deals really were.
And what do you mean, Keith Pompey's not reliable?
Dude, I've been dreaming about how much I hate that dude. But we're like the Harden deal. It really wasn't a bad trade for James Harden. It really wasn't. Like it was a colossal failure in Philadelphia with Embiid for sure, but like even as good as Harden is, it should have worked better than it did, and I don't think the trade was necessarily like this massive failure.
I think it was horrible, and I hate every second of it. I hate every bit of it. I hate it.
I mean, I hate James Harden too. Don't get me wrong, dude. He's the worst. But like we got rid of Andre Drummond and Seth Curry, who aren't on the Nets anymore. 2 late first-round picks that we wouldn't have done anything with, and Ben Simmons, who
Daryl's been pretty good at drafting. Daryl's been pretty good at drafting.
Yeah, he's been drafted well.
Speaking of which, actually, Daryl Morey might be the best drafting GM we've had since I don't know,
100%. 100%, dude.
But speaking of him, like kind of backstabbing Harden here in this situation, I think he was caught between a rock and a hard place because, Josh Harris and these guys don't care, obviously, about James Harden or any player at all, really. They care about the profit margin, and they're saying, listen, the fans booed him in the playoffs 2 years in a row. We can't do that. The promise that you made to him last year, I'm sorry you made that promise, but you absolutely, it can't happen. It can't happen, Daryl. So what do you want? You know what I mean? You got to tell James it can't happen. And maybe, he told him, hey, listen, man, they said we can't do what I wanted to do. So we can't offer you that max contract. So, I think that's what happened. I think Daryl caught himself in a situation, but again, it's all because of how bad James Harden looked in the biggest situations. Or, people don't like when I say that because then they point out the good games that he had. It's all because of the obvious decline that is happening. You can't decline at 33 and have someone give you a 4-year contract because it's not, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to say this guy's going to decline much more at 36 and 37.
Yeah, 100%.
He's never shown signs of trending back upward.
Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros.